Hey everyone, Flo from OFTWOLANDS here, and the new Blackmagic Pyxis Monitor just arrived. So in this video I want to share with you my first impressions of the monitor, especially around the design and the ergonomics, but I also want to talk of course about how it feels on a camera and why I'm personally excited by this new item. I will also discuss briefly battery life and how it is to use it outside in the snow for the first time. And I also want to mention some of the features that were released in the recent camera update. I'm sure a lot of you have questions about this monitor, so feel free to leave them below and to basically treat this video as a discussion of forum, and I'll do my best to answer the questions in the comments below or in the next video. And of course be sure to subscribe, as I will share a lot more content around this monitor and of course around the Pyxis as well. Now let's get into it. So I've had this monitor only for a day now, but I wanted to share my initial impressions because I know that a lot of people are waiting for this one. So first of all, I want to talk about the quality. It feels great and is very well built. It really fits in with the rest of the Pyxis. I think the camera really feels complete to me now. The screen feels exactly like the ones you would find on the Pocket line or the 6K full frame, the 5-inch ones, which is a good thing. It's very responsive, sharp and bright. So I've used it mainly indoors at around 50% and outdoors at around 75%, and it was fine. And I even used it in the snow at 100%, and again it was fine, especially with the sunshade. One thing that I've noticed though is that it is less contrasty than the one on the side of the Pyxis. When I first received the Pyxis, I noticed that the screen was slightly different than the ones on the Pocket, because I've got about 3 or 4, so I'm very used to the 5-inch one, but the 4-inch is definitely more crunchy, if that makes sense. This one is essentially the same as you would have on the 6K full frame or the Pocket line. Also, I had to recalibrate the monitor because it was very different than from the Pyxis. Obviously, you can adjust the temperature and the tint, so that was easy. But yeah, just something that I would mention. It was quite different from the monitor to the Pyxis when I first plugged it in. Now, let's talk about size and weight. This monitor is very, very light and quite thin. I think it's only 200 grams or something. And personally, I really like that it's a 5-inch one. I think I've said from the start that on the Pyxis, I think because of the form factor, I really feel like 5-inch is better suited than my 7-inch, for example. Obviously not for every single situation, but as a kit, I think this works very well. So in terms of mount, I've got the swivel mount and I also have the base one that goes directly on the Pyxis. I like this swivel mount because it gives you like different viewing angles and different positions as well. It's also very easy and quick to attach and detach, or to mount or demount, thanks to the dovetail system. And all the knobs that you have like on the side or to lock it, they feel very similar to the ones that you find on the EVF, which is a good thing. And speaking of EVF, you can also attach the monitor directly to the arms or the brackets of the EVF, which gives you another style of shooting because it's on the side, and another viewing angle, which I think is a good thing. I personally prefer to use it directly on the top handle, but it's also nice to have the opportunity to use it on the side, like on the left or on the right, especially for interviews and things like that. So one thing that I've noticed as well, having the top handle, and when I received the monitor, I noticed that you can actually put it at the front like it is now, like going down at the front of the handle. So you've got basically the whole handle available to grab, which is much better to me than having it on top, because you lose a bit of space at the front. And this is an issue that I had with my small HD, for example, because there's only 2 mounting points. Basically you have to mount it here and then your hand kind of goes at the back. But I feel like with this system, the way it is quite a flat, kind of like streamlined setup, and I really like it. At the top is really comfortable as well, but personally I think I'll have it going down this way. I don't know if it's supposed to be like this. I think most of the videos that I've seen have removed the top of the handle here and mounted directly at the front, which is, I think it's meant to be like that, but personally I think this is a very good way. Very streamlined, very small, and suits my style of shooting. Also, the sunshade is very, very light and super easy to use. Yeah, you can literally just fold it like that and you can just open it by doing that, which is super quick. It's also very light, it works very well, and it also protects the monitor when it's in transport. So if you do it like that, then it's kind of like, you know, protected, and I kind of like that. I would say this is the only piece that feels cheaper than the rest. It's quite thin and plasticky and flimsy, but I don't think there's any other way to do it. And also it comes included, so no complaints here, but just thought I mentioned it. It just feels slightly cheaper than the rest, but again, I don't think there's any other way to do it like that. And I've used other hoods from other brands and they're very, very expensive, very annoying to put on or to take off. This is great and it works very well. Also, just to be completely honest, I think this might be a better version of the monitor. I'm not entirely sure. I don't really know when it ships. This was sent to me by Blackmagic because I wanted to test it out and they were kind enough to send it to me. But I think this might be a better version. So there might be things that change slightly when the full production ones are released, but I'm not too sure. So I'm not going to go too much in depth in the specs because you can either look that up or watch the announcement video, but essentially this is a 5-inch monitor that can monitor and control the camera. And it is built specifically for the Ursa Cine and the Pyxis. So it won't work on the 6K full frame, or at least not now. So as I said, you can monitor and control the camera and you can also reposition it in different parts. You can have it off camera to monitor as well using a longer cable. So it's a very versatile and a very, I think, useful and practical addition to the Pyxis set. So you also have function buttons at the back. You've got 3 and you can set them the same way you would on the Pyxis, but you can also have them independently from the Pyxis. So basically you can have 3 different functions here and here, or you can mirror them like I've done. And also it depends on which ones you press from where. So if you activate something from here, it might not work here if it's not set to be activated from the monitor. So for example, if you've got false color set up here for both the camera and the monitor, it will work on both. But if you press here and you don't have the Pyxis monitor set up with false color within the camera, it won't work here when you press the camera. So it'll be hard to understand, and sorry if I'm not making myself clear. But yeah, there's basically loads of different variations and ways that you can use the function buttons, which is great. In addition to all of that, you also have an accelerometer built in and a tally light at the back that is quite bright, similar to the one that I've got on the EVF as well. And to pair it, it plugs in directly via the viewfinder port at the front, and basically the camera powers the monitor using, in this case, the BPU battery. In terms of price, you've got 3 different options. I think the monitor itself is $295, then you've got a kit for $445 and another one for $695. So I think for what you get for the features and how easy and well it works all together, I think it's a very, very good value product. And as always, if you're interested, I'll link all the gear in the description below. So now I want to talk about why I'm personally excited about this new monitor. So as you probably know, I've been shooting with Blackmagic cameras for 10 years now, more than 10 years, and I mainly do short documentaries and outdoor content. Having something that you can rig like the Pyxis in different ways allows you to kind of tailor your rig or your system to different kinds of projects and situations. I think especially for documentary and outdoor content, having a modular and flexible system like the Pyxis is very valuable because it can save you time, but it can also make certain shots easier, and basically everything that can be streamlined. In my case, I like to have a small compact rig. The smaller the better, so this is perfect. And I think that now with this monitor, it really makes for a flexible, modular, compact and pretty serious kit, especially for the money and the features that you get. I think originally there were a lot of complaints about the monitor being built in on the side. To me, it was never an issue because this is a camera that was meant to be rigged, in my opinion, so I was always going to use a monitor. And I've been using my small HD 7-inch for the past couple of months and it's been absolutely fine. That being said, on a recent short documentary with a friend of mine, Thomas Tessier, we've shot with 2 Pyxis, and during the interview the cameras had to be very close to each other, which meant that it was very tricky to access the controls during the interview. It would have been so much easier if we had this monitor on top and we could have just like rotated and being able to just monitor but also control and adjust the audio settings, check for false color and things like that if we wanted to. And so this is really like at the back of doing that short documentary for 3 days, I really saw the limitations in some cases of having the monitor on the side and only having a monitoring option on the top and not a control one. So I think for documentary work and for any types of projects, having the ability to monitor and control the camera is a huge plus. This can also be the case when you are behind the camera and you can't, for whatever reason, have access to the side. Obviously you can have memory muscle, but there are a lot of buttons on the side. So aside from the function buttons, I think I would be not very comfortable changing all the settings, just guessing. This is amazing. I don't know if this should have been done on the first day. I don't think so, because this is a modular camera, but I'm glad that they did. I think now that I've used this even just for a day, having the ability to control the camera from all angles is just so simple, and it makes so much sense. And I don't think I'll take this off the Pyxis very often. And again, because I do a lot of like outdoor and documentary work, I usually need to be quite quick and nimble. Being able to just kind of like attach this like that and just removing it in 2 seconds is just so easy. And it's little things like that that basically, like, the more you shoot, the more you realize the way you like to shoot. And for me, the simpler, the better. This is really good. I also like to use a full kit and transport it and use a Temba bag to basically put it in and out of the bag fully built, so I can be ready to shoot at any given time. And I think this makes it even easier. I can do it with my small HD, but the rig is quite tall with the mount, and you can't, like, even with the sidearm, you can't really adjust it the same way. This is kind of like, this fits perfectly in the bag. I can just put it like that, and it's quite small and compact, and be ready to shoot in like 2 seconds. So yeah, I think this is, for my style, this is very, very good. Another thing that I like as well is how thin the monitor is. So not only to pack, like I've just mentioned, but also because there's no batteries at the back, it makes it very light, very thin. It's not top heavy or front heavy. It's just powered by the camera. And you also kind of like takes away another battery options. For example, like if I want to use my small HD, I have to bring NPF batteries. That's not a system that can be used with this camera. So just having just BPU, I've got a few now, makes a lot more sense. And basically it's just, again, another way to streamline the whole process. And another thing as well I want to mention, I do love the SDI connection on the Pyxis. I think it's a very strong and secure one, but I really hate having to worry about the protocol. I'm someone that likes to power the camera on and off a lot, especially for outdoor content. So I've also been using the USB-C connection, and I like it because, again, I can turn it on and off quickly, but I'm not a big fan of how flimsy it feels, especially at the front. So yeah, I think, again, this is, and I keep saying the same thing, but obviously there's a reason why people were asking about it and why they made it. This makes a lot more sense again. All in all, I think the bottom line is that this is a very well-made system, and it all works very well together. So having used this for only a few hours now, just for a day, I can honestly say that I think this will stay on the Pyxis more often than not. I doubt I'll take it off even. It's just a much better and more comfortable way than using my small HD. And I love my small HD monitor, nothing against the monitor, but when you've got something that's built for it and that's so well integrated, I think that works a lot better. I think the limitation with a 5-inch screen, for example, would be like if you are shooting with multiple people and they need to see like over your shoulder and they need to see what you're doing, a 7-inch would be better. Maybe they will bring one at some point, I'm not sure. But to me, the Pyxis is quite a small camera, quite a compact, like square one. And this makes perfect sense, and I'm pretty happy with it. So recently there was an update for the camera for the Pyxis that obviously included the monitor, but there were also a few new features. So one of the updates was a lock button on the side here that now can lock only the screen and not all the buttons. This is not an issue that I had, but I've seen a lot of people complaining about it. So more importantly, there was another update related to battery life, and this is really good. I was told by Blackmagic that they would release an update that would increase the capacity on the BPU batteries, and I did a quick test with a 35 BPU before the update and after the update, just leaving the camera on recording, and I got 49 minutes before the update and an hour and 13 after the update. This is quite a significant jump. I was already happy with the battery life on the Pyxis, to be honest, but having an hour and 13 minutes just on the 35 BPU means that in theory you should almost get an extra hour on the 98 BPU, the one that I've got here from Core, which is pretty incredible and should give me, I guess, 3.5 hours of battery life, which is pretty cool. And lastly, I think the Pyxis can be controlled remotely using the app. Personally, I haven't had time to play with it yet. It sounds pretty cool, and I'll make sure to use it. But yeah, this is not something that I've done yet. And if you want more info on all the other features, I think there were a few other things as well that were added. Feel free to check out the Blackmagic website. Now, when it comes to battery life with the monitor, I've tried to do the exact same test. So leaving the camera with the 35 BPU with the monitor at 75%, and I got around 55 minutes, I think. So basically it does affect the battery life, obviously, because you need to power a monitor that is quite bright and sharp and a 5-inch one and does all the control, but it doesn't seem to affect the battery that much. And essentially the way I see it, you get the same battery life that you used to get before the update without a monitor. So it's pretty good. Maybe that's why they did the update, to basically increase the battery and the power draw, or like decrease the power draw, so you would get the same battery as you did before with the added monitor. If that's the case, great. But yeah, so for me, I've seen a change, but it's not a drastic one, and I'm still very, very happy with the battery life. So I'm keen to properly start using this monitor. I think it really makes the shooting experience with the Pyxis, which is already great, even better. It's well made, light, useful, and very practical. And even though this is something that I didn't think I would need when the Pyxis was announced, when I first used the Pyxis, I can really see now the benefits and also the limitations of not having used the Pyxis for 2 months on different projects. I'm extremely happy with the way that this was done, and I think also for the price and features you get, this makes a very, very complete and useful kit. And I've said it before, and I will do a full-on 6 months review of the Pyxis once I've used it enough. I don't like to rush into things like that, so that's why I like to prefer and do first impressions first, and then use it on different projects and documentaries and outdoors and personal and landscape and everything that I can get and get done during that period. But so far, this is probably the best system I've ever used, I think. Not only because I'm used to Blackmagic and I love the image, I've been shooting for more than 10 years with them, so I'm very familiar with them. But the Pyxis, the modularity of it, the battery system, the handle, and now the monitor really makes for a compact, flexible, and very versatile kit that works very well for the type of work that I do. That's it for me for today, guys. Hopefully this was helpful to you. Let me know if you've got any more questions. I think you probably do, and I'll do my best to answer them in the comments or in the next video. And also let me know if you are getting one of these monitors or if you still intend to use the one that you already have. And as always, be sure to subscribe to see more content with the Pyxis, including short documentaries and reviews. Also, I think this is probably my last video of the year, so again, thanks so much for the support this year, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Also, feel free to check out my 2 ebooks, Freelance Documentary Filmmaking and Travel Cinematography, where you can find a streamlined but comprehensive overview from pre-production all the way to marketing, built on years of my own experience shooting short documentaries and travel videos around the world. And if you are interested, I'm also doing filmmaking mentoring sessions when you can ask me anything about a wide variety of topics.